Hello, and welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Eierstein. Thank y'all for joining me again today as we do the chapter review of the sixth chapter of James Allen's book, As a Man Thinketh, titled Vision and Ideals. I love this chapter. I love the concept that he talks about in this chapter, the vision and ideals. He kind of differentiates them. It's a chapter with a lot of encouragement. It's a chapter with a lot of motivation. Right? It feels like he's pushing us to actually pursue these things that we hold in our hearts that might have dismissed, and I'm very excited about it. So I am still having shoulder problems like I did the last video review. So if you see me do some weird things like this, please forgive me. It's just me healing up. I did some damage to a trap a couple weeks ago. So still on the mend from that. We're getting through it though. So let's dig right into it. This is a little bit of a longer chapter, but there's some chunks that we get to probably aren't going to go through too much, just purely because there's stories and we can just kind of summarize them. But let's get to it. So this again is the sixth chapter of James Allen's book, As a Man Thinketh, from 1903, I believe. And this chapter is titled Visions and Ideals. I hope you had the chance to listen to the reading of the chapter last week. And here we go. So, as always, the first paragraph, he has a way of making the first lines of a new chapter just really strike a chord, at least for me. And this one is no different. The first line, but the entire first chapter, or first paragraph of this chapter is very it captures your attention pretty well. Really brings you about face on it. So here we go. The first line: "The dreamers are the saviors of the world," is how he starts this thing off. Dreamers are the saviors of the world. I mean, that's quite a claim, right? That's quite a substantial thing to start this off with, and I like that. You know, for many, being a dreamer, being somebody that idealizes, maybe is a way to say it, is criticized, is almost insulted or condemned. So to open up with a statement like that, dreamers are the saviors of the world, kind of plays to a little piece of many that were, including myself, that were told that dreaming's irrelevant. So I like that. I loved it. I love the way this chapter starts. So the dreamers are the saviors of the world. As the visible world is sustained by the invisible, so men, through their trials and sins and sordid vocations, are nourished by the beautiful visions of their solitary dreamers. Humanity cannot forget its dreamers. It cannot let their ideals fade and die. It lives in them. It knows them as the realities which it shall one day see and know. Right? So it's saying that society, in all capacities, really is driven by the dreamers, right? Because they're the ones that picture or envision a different world. The ones that can envision a world with less conflict, or a world with less starvation, or more a peaceful world, whatever it might be, whatever their specific vision has, whatever their specific dream has, and they know that as true. They know that as a possibility. And without that, without those beliefs held by some that a better world is possible, we don't develop. I don't believe. It takes the dreamers to motivate us to move forward and create something that is different. So that's what I get out of this. That's what I get out of that first paragraph is dreamers are important because are they show us what potential there is, and they believe in that potential being. Now, that's a powerful thing when you think about it that way. When you think about dreamers as just foretelling the potential of something, maybe it's society, maybe it's, well, I guess society is probably the biggest thing to really say there. Society, a world we live in, how we interact with each other, whatever that might be. Now he goes on after that first paragraph. He says, composer, sculptor, painter, poet, prophet, sage. These are all makers of the afterworld, the architects of heaven. Right? And I like that. These are still things that happen today. Composer, musicians, sculptor, painter, poets, prophets, sages, those with wisdom, those who have lived, those who have been blessed to study these old texts or these old ancient teachings that and been given the ability to really draw from them the lessons that we need to learn, right? So prophets and sages are real in this world, I believe, and they help guide us towards a better future, right? And composer, sculptor, painter, poet, these are people that sing about how realities and how it should be different and how it can grow and how it can change. We need to have those people with us still that hold on to the belief that things can change, because I feel like they're becoming fewer and fewer, whether people are losing their ability to dream or they're just being so discouraged about it that they don't even do it anymore. It seems as though less and less are embarking on it. So he finishes that second paragraph with, the world is beautiful because they have lived. Without them, laboring humanity would perish. And we're talking about all the art in the world comes from the dreamers. All of the philosophy, all of the religious practices come from the dreamers of a different life and a different way to live and a different, who believed in a different potential. I think that's amazing. It's a beautiful thing. And he starts this, and we're talking about beliefs here. They believe in their dreams. They believe in their visions. He who cherishes a beautiful vision, a lofty ideal in his heart will one day realize it. And if you notice, he's constantly saying vision and ideal because he differentiates these two things. It's important to know that he's talking about things, though similar, they are different. And we'll get into what the difference is soon. But he who cherishes a beautiful vision, a lofty ideal in his heart, will one day realize it. Because when you hold on to that, when you have that belief that this is true, this is possible, this is something that can happen, you're working towards that, right? When I was doing the daily readings, all of last year, all of 2023, we talked about it in multiple different readings that we have to choose an ideal that we're striving towards. We have to choose something. And some people use religious figures for that. Some people describe how they would like to be and make that their ideal, and they strive towards that with character qualities like honesty and hopeful and loving and just and integrous and courageous and forgiving, kind. And we strive towards these ideals. We strive towards what we want this to be. Now, not everyone has the same, but there's a lot of similarities usually between one individual's ideal to another's. And what we respect, the ideal that we choose, really does drive and influence our actions in the present. So just remember that. And then, and he gives some examples which are interesting choices. He says Columbus cherished a vision of another world and he discovered it. Copernicus fostered a vision of multiplicity of world and revealed it. Buddha held a vision of spiritual world of a stainless beauty and perfect peace, and he entered into it. Just giving some examples of people that so truly believed in what they saw out there, or saw the potential that they saw in the future ahead of them, and they were right, and they revealed it. Cherish your visions, cherish your ideals, cherish the music that stirs in your heart, the beauty that forms in your mind, the loveliness that drapes your purest thoughts, for out of them will grow all delightful conditions, all heavenly environment. Of these, if you but remain true to them, your world will at last be built. Cherish these things. It's my belief we live in a society in this current moment where we're so dismissive of people's ideals, people's dreams, people's visions, people's desires for the future. It's crushed. It's almost like we're crushing the hope out of people that it could be different, that we could grow and be something that is better, more refined, more loving, more kind, right? Like we've been in such a state, feeling so defeated that hope is kind of being lost in the mix. We're being discouraged from believing that our ideals can be possible. And that's one of the saddest things. We have to cherish our vision, ideals, the music in our hearts, the beauty that forms in your mind, the loveliness that drapes your purest thoughts, because out of them will grow delightful conditions. Cherish the good things, because that sprouts too, right? We've talked about this whole book is about be careful what you're thinking about. If you're constantly thinking about the negative, how things will never change, if you're thinking about corruption or greed or whatever whatever sin you might say, that's what will grow. If you're thinking about the potential beauty and growth and the future visions that you have, the future ideals that you hold, that will grow. And it might not shape other people's behavior, but it will shape yours. And when enough people do that, things can change. So it might seem discouraging knowing that this will be a journey of 1,000 personal steps for thousands of different people, but we're all headed in the same place together if we chose to live differently. What do you foster in your mind? What do you let grow? He's saying here, cherish the good. Pursue the good. Don't dismiss those visions and ideals. There's a place for them. Of these, if you remain but true to them, your world will at last be built. It's that simple. You'll create a world that you didn't know was possible, that has those things you've envisioned and those ideals you value in it. Now, this is an interesting thing he says here next. To desire is to obtain, to aspire is to achieve. Right? And it was an interesting distinction because I don't think it gets made very often. And desire is much more of a I want, right? And I will get it and bring it to me, like to possess this thing, right? To desire something is to bring it to you, right? So you're staying where you are and you're bringing things to you for your own selfish desires, almost selfish ends. When you aspire, you're looking up and you're reaching for that to bring yourself to it. You're aspiring to a higher principle, to a higher ideal, to a higher character, to a higher moral and virtue. So to aspire is bring yourself to that higher thing. To desire is to bring things below you to you. to satisfy yourself, to fulfill selfish desires. It was interesting to actually realize that when I want something, that desires in me, I'll just focus on bringing that to me. I'll focus on what I've got to do to get what I think I need. And that can be in a lot of ways. But when I aspire to be a certain way, when I'm aspiring to an ideal, when I'm aspiring to a certain vision of life, I am trying to achieve these things. I'm trying to improve myself. I'm trying to grow myself personally to bring the type of life that I want, that I'm envisioning to me, to have the moral character and quality that I want to have to me, right? I'm trying, well, not so much bring it to me, but step into it, to grow it around me, to aspire to these things. It was a very eye-opening difference to understand, to aspire to something greater than yourself. And that's where this ideal comes in, I believe. These visions come in. So, now this is I have a lot. I'm going to read the next two paragraphs all together, and we'll split them up a little bit here. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. The greatest achievement was at first for a time a dream. The oak sleeps in the acorn, the bird waits in the egg, and in the highest vision of the soul, a waking angel stirs. Dreams are the seedlings of realities. Okay, actually, I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to go to the next one yet. I love these two. These two paragraphs are the entire chapter summed up, right? These are the definitions we're looking for. These are the examples that he gives in the physical world, right? The potential that exists that we can relate to in the physical world that relates to us, whether we realize it or not, right? So dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become, right? So these dreams are then made up of vision and ideals. That's what this whole chapter is about. And these lofty dreams, these highfalutin, some might say, these almost incredible dreams to walk towards, right? And you will become them. You will start to manifest that in your life. And I mean that in a very real way, because you'll start to manifest those behaviors, those qualities, those things in your life to fulfill those visions and ideals. Now, here we go with the definition. Vision. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. So the picture that you're painting in your mind of how your life will look, to some specificity, right? Do you want to have family? Do you want to have, do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be I don't even know. Teacher just is the one that's coming to mind right now. Just whatever profession you want. How do you want to be interacting with people? How do you want to conduct yourself? What is the life you see for yourself, right? What's that whole picture look like? What does the picture of your future look like, or the future in general? You can go broad with this. You can go very big with this. And that's what you're going to be marching towards. And then, so yeah, the picture, I wrote down this, the picture you paint in your mind for the future. That is what a vision is. When we say ideal, your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. And what we're talking about there is our own character. My ideal character. Right? An ideal, a standard of perfection. Right? Usually occurring regarding conduct or character. So my ideal character. Do I want to have integrity? Do I want to be an honest man? Do I want to be steadfast? Do I want to be resolute in my beliefs? Do I want to be a man of virtue and moral, forgiving, kind, loving, and just, right? These are the things that make up an ideal. These are the things that we hold the standards we hold ourselves to improve our conduct that we chase after. This is the stuff that manifests in our thoughts and our minds as to how we want to behave in the world, how we want to interact in our relationships, how we want to interact with even strangers, coworkers, our bosses, employees, employer, whatever your situation is. Your ideal is how you want to conduct yourself. That's pretty amazing. If you could paint, or if you could hold an ideal, write it down of how you want to behave, of how you want to act in your life, and hold on to that. Constantly think about it, read it, rewrite it, have it posted somewhere. Keep that at the forefront of your mind, and you will notice your behaviors to start to align with it. You'll become more honest or kind or loving or forgiving or courageous, whatever it is. If you keep it at the front of your mind, that's what we're talking about here, holding on to this stuff, you will step into that level of moral and character. You will become that. You will develop that. You'll be somebody that is striving towards those. And now that is so true with your vision and your ideal. Keep these things in your mind. Keep these things with you. Do not dismiss the possibility of them happening. Hold on to them. Believe in them. And this is why. The greatest achievement was at first and for a time a dream. Nothing just came in like that in this physical world. Nothing has done that. Right? It's been built. It's been created. It's been achieved. The oak sleeps in the acorn. The bird waits in the egg. This is all the development. I mean, even as human beings, we grow inside the womb. We're born. We don't. Our body changes rapidly for the first 20 years of our life, 30 years even, you could say, and then it continues to grow and change, right? So there's this inherent development already built into us, like the acorn, like the bird. And in the highest vision of the soul, a waking angel stirs. Right? That ideal, that vision, those are there. But you have to pursue them. You have to walk towards them. You have to start taking actions that reflect them. Right? It's there. Believe that it's possible for you to embody your ideals and step into your vision. If you can believe that, you're already halfway there, really. It's amazing. Dreams are the seedlings of realities. Everything that's around us was a dream of somebody's at some point. Think about that. This was all someone's dream. This was all someone's vision. When you realize that, who says you can't have yours? Who says you can't walk forward in this life, chasing that vision and to embody that ideal? It's incredible what you can accomplish. Now, let's go on to the next paragraph here. Your circumstances may be uncongenial, but they shall not long remain so if you but perceive an ideal and strive to reach it. You cannot travel within and stand still without. So what we're talking about here is James Allen talks about quite often a purification process. So he says you cannot stand. Hold on, let me read it again. You cannot travel within and stand still without. What that means is when you're holding on to these visions and these ideals and you look into yourself and want to be those things, right? They shall not long remain, though, if you perceive an ideal and strive to reach it. So you start taking different actions. You start holding different thoughts. You start doing different things. When you go inside and take a look at what's going on, This purification process of changing your outside behaviors, then changing the thoughts that drive those behaviors, then changing your what's held in your heart that's driving those thoughts. When you start changing what you're feeding yourself, when you start changing all of these things to be driven towards that vision you want, driven towards that ideal that you want to embody, then you start to, the outside will start to change. It's just the natural way of things. When you change what's in here and your motivation for what's in here, and you start thinking different and you start behaving different, the outside will change. The people that you're around will change. It will be slow, maybe at first. You might not even realize it happening, but it will. The story we're going to kind of skip is about a kid that I think that worked at in a blacksmith shop, and he wanted to be somebody of moral prowess that was able to help people and let people grow and develop. But he had none of the skills, and he just started pouring all of his extra time into reading about morals and reading and behaving in different ways. And then he outgrew the blacksmith shop, he says, and he stepped into this person that he had always envisioned himself being, and he grew into this individual that had the influence over so many, that had wielded the large ropes of power, large reins of power, and he spoke, and people's lives were changed. People built their lives around what this individual said, and it came because of an honest desire and an honest vision and ideal for his future and his character, and then taking the actions. He did the internal work, and his outside world changed. And then this is possible for anybody. This is possible for absolutely anybody. We just got to believe that it is. And I know that almost sounds just corny, and all of the self-help stuff today, you'll hear some version of that. Remember, this was written in 1903, guys. James Allen is noted as the father of the self-help movement. And that's because what he said worked. Today, it's been construed and manipulated, and everyone's out to make $1 off of someone else's misery. And I think its message has been lost. So that's why I've gone back to read these things, because it's got such a powerful impact. And this stuff is just freely available. You can change your life today. You need no one else's help. Pick a vision, pick an ideal. What would you want to, where do you want to be, and what do you want that to look like? And then act accordingly. It sounds huge and it sounds scary, but it's possible. Believe it's possible, and your life will start to change. And he ends that story, though. He has realized the vision of his youth. He has become one with his ideal. Right? It's just a reassurance of the possibility of these things. So we go into, and you too, youth reader, will realize the vision, not the idle wish. So the honest vision of your heart, what you believe is possible for yourself. Truly believe what is possible for yourself. Be it beautiful, or be it base or beautiful. So whatever you're visioning for your life in the future, it'll happen, even if it's terrible. Just remember that. Or a mixture of both, for you will always gravitate toward that which you secretly must love. So this is interesting. Into your hands will be placed the exact results of your own thoughts. You will receive that which you earn, no more, no less. Whatever your present environment may be, you will fall, remain, or rise with your thoughts, your vision, your ideal. You will become as small as your controlling desire. Those nasty little habits we all have. As great as your dominant aspiration. Okay? The only person holding you back really from doing these things is yourself. Because we have these selfish little self-indulgences, these little bad habits, and some not so little. This could be, for myself, it was a lot of things, but primarily alcohol and drugs. I had to be willing to let these things go, to live a different life. I had to let them go, to just form an ideal, to form a vision for myself, right? I didn't even have the capability to do anything different at the time. Thankfully, there was a forced separation in my life. And through that, and a couple other circumstances, I was blessed with the opportunity to build a different life through people that had found a spiritual way to live. So, whatever you hold dear to your heart is what you will be walking towards and what will come into your life. Or if they're fears, you'll get that thing you fear. It will happen. If you have things that you love and cherish, right? If you have a vision that you hold in your heart, if you have an ideal that you hold in your heart, you will achieve those. You will go towards those. Your whole life will orient themselves to this positive direction that you want to go to. Which is kind of amazing, because for a long time I thought that I was just the victim of the world. I was dealt a bad hand of cards. I just kept dealing myself bad hands of cards because that's what I thought I should be getting. So it's changed quite a bit. And then he provides us with a quote from another author, and it's just stating something similar, something with the same concept of how I believe it's a shepherd should be keeping accounts presently. Yeah. How a shepherd wants to improve his life, and he has this vision for his life. And then at the most random time, at the time where he didn't realize it would matter, or he couldn't have predicted an opportunity, it happened for him. He was able to pour out his, how did he say? Pour out the torrent of your inspiration, and then his life changed. Right? Like you'll get these opportunities in your life when you least expect them. So make sure you're always working towards this. So, the thoughtless, the ignorant, and the indolent, seeing only the apparent effects of things and not the things themselves, talk of luck, fortune, and chance. This is what's amazing, and it happens often. You'll see someone that has a rise to power, a handle on their intellect, a depth of knowledge and wisdom, or even what do they say? Highly favored, intellectual, and anything like that. Any quality or possession, and people will look, aren't you lucky? Life has been good to you. Chance has been your friend. And I don't think it has much to do with that anymore. He talks about in that same paragraph, they do not see the trials and failures and struggles to which these men have voluntarily encountered in order to gain their experience. You knowingly go into a situation to learn and to grow, and you take on those failures, you take on those blocks and barriers to your life. Have no knowledge of it's a big thing too, the sacrifices we have to make to actually get to these things. We have to sacrifice all these little selfish, petty desires and indulgences that stand in our way. All these things that we try to do to make ourselves feel better, we have to let them go and trust the process and strive towards that ideal. All of the undaunted efforts they have put forth, of the faith they have exercised, that they might overcome the apparently insurmountable and realize the vision of their heart. These blind faith, sometimes trust, belief, sacrifice is crucial. Sacrifice. Not unnecessary sacrifice either, let's be very clear. But you will be, when you strive towards this vision and these ideals, you can't bring who you are right now to those. You will have to change. That's why holding these visions and these ideals is so important because that's what you're striving towards. So you're growing from the person you are today to the person you need to be to have those character qualities. So you will have to sacrifice who you are today for that man you want to be, man or individual, whoever's listening to this, who you want to be in the future. It's sacrifice. And there's so much more sacrifice than just that. But that's the whole concept. You have to be willing to be different. In all human affairs, there are efforts and there are results. The strength of the effort is the measure of the result. Think about that. How much effort are you putting into this? How much are you willing to put into this? Because you will get in direct proportion in your results the amount of effort you put in. So if you're just kind of half-heartedly doing something, hoping for the best, you're not going to get the results you want. If you're sacrificing your time, your energy, your finances, effort, old behaviors, you're willing to put everything into something, you'll get results that you didn't know were possible at a pace that might be unbelievable. But your results are in direct proportion to your effort. Remember that. Chance does not dictate your results. Gifts, powers, material, intellectual, and spiritual possessions are fruits of effort. They are never just freely given, right? They're never just by chance. They are thoughts completed, objects accomplished, visions realized. Keep that in mind. We all like to say, oh, they were given this. Oh, they were born with that. They were, they didn't have to work at this. If you can change your perspective and say, no, they earned that. I now believe in justice a lot of times in this world. And that might be a hot topic to say today. I know, but I do believe there is justice. So I do believe people earn what they've gotten. I know I earned my place in life. I know I earned my position. I know I earned the trouble I got into, and I've earned the life I've been blessed with today. Through the following of an ideal and of a set of virtues and morals that I choose to embody and that I follow with no guarantee of what will turn out. But I think that's as close to as high moral character as I can get. And it seems to be working. I had to sacrifice my entire character previous to this to be the person that was able to live and enjoy life, that was able to live and be of service. And now I do. And because of that, and I've seen this play out, and I understand how it works now, I can look at somebody and be genuinely happy for what they've accomplished in a positive way. Which is something I never thought I could do. So, and now for the final paragraph here. The vision that you glorify in your mind, the ideal that you enthrone in your heart, this you will build your life by. This you will become. Your vision is what you will build your life by. Your ideal is what you will become. You as an individual. Me as an individual. My ideal is what I begin to embody. My vision is what I will build my life by. The things I want to bring into my life. How I want it to look. What I think is possible. The beautiful dream that I've painted for myself. And that does change a little bit here and there. It grows as you understand new experience that can be shaped. But I believe in that. I want to read that again. The vision that you glorify in your mind, the ideal that you enthrone in your heart, this you will build your life by. this you will become. I like how he puts that, the vision you glorify in your mind. So this vision, this picture of the future, then the ideal you enthrone in your heart, that the character, the moral character you want to manifest, that you want to embody, you hold that in you enthrone that in your heart. This you will build your life by, this you will become. What an amazing paragraph and an amazing chapter. It's fantastic. I absolutely love this one. And it's so encouraging. It gives me so much joy to read this because I know it to be true. And I know its effect, the effect it's had on my own personal life and the effect it will continue to have. So I hope this chapter brings as much encouragement for you as it does for me. And I hope that it is invigorating and motivating as anything that can be brought up today, or any motivational speaker you could find today. I promise you that it's all directly pulled from this book. So I'll be looking forward to next week when I read the last chapter here. It is called Serenity. Beautiful name for the last chapter of this book. And please go ahead, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We appreciate it. Leave a comment if you're so inclined. Check out the Facebook page as well. We are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So I encourage you, please go check us out. The support is always appreciated, and I hope you enjoy the content. And I will be back again next week. So until next time, thanks.